The girl is standing on a huge birthday cake decorated with candles and strawberries. Princess Ara, the only daughter of the noble Duke of Traveling, was finally celebrating her 11th birthday. The girl gets out of bed and looks out the window. She was happy that day. She rises up on her toes and looks out the window. She tried not to think about the scene she saw last time. She gets a hug. She says everything will be okay. Ara looks out the window again, remembering the scene with the fallen cake. Someone threw the cake on the ground. Ara sits sadly in the chair with her hands folded in her lap. She ponders how a princess could do such a thing. A young man appears on the throne, depicted in luxurious clothing. He was the chosen heir and became their king. A winter palace with many people inside doing different things. One day she realized that she was wrong. The young man turns to the girl who is kneeling in front of him. One day she realized that her life was a lie. Ara runs down the hallway, casting a shadow on the wall. Now she had found the real path. She wanted him to wish her a happy birthday just once. She stands with a bloody dress, her body streaked with ice. She opens her eyes with the last of her strength and sees ice crystals in front of her. He looks at her with a cold expression on his face. She remembers her father hating her so much. She falls down, feeling her strength leave her. He looks at her, realizing it's ending. He looks away, realizing that it will all be over soon. Princess Ara died from Emperor Cyril's anger and desire for vengeance. Cyril went mad and froze everything around her. Thus came the end of one of the worlds. The girl reads the book and sighs, a hopeless story. She reflects on the fact that she bought this book because of the beautiful cover and is glad she didn't read the whole thing. She reflects on the fact that she came home from work tired and is now reading a silly book. She wonders what she's even doing. She keeps thinking that she stayed at the office until late yesterday, and this is her third day of working without a day off. She feels tired and driven, wanting to escape from reality, but suddenly her thoughts are interrupted. She looks at the book and wonders why the emperor cried at the end and destroyed the world. She wonders if it is possible that after his loss, he finally realized how dear the people he lost were to him. She lies down on her bed and continues to ponder the plot of the book, thinking that she may have misunderstood something. She admits that the story is unpleasant and she doesn't care what the true meaning is. She has to go back to work tomorrow, and anyway, the plot of the book is strange. She's lying in bed thinking that there are other things in life. She hears a voice calling her princess. She opens her eyes and sees an unfamiliar environment, realizing that this is not her home. She realizes it is a dream and wonders where she is. She is called Princess Ara and is offered milk. She sees an infant and wonders why it is here. She looks at herself and sees that she too has become an infant. She panics, wondering what is going on, and realizes that her body is not obeying her. She is offered a drink of milk, and she, not realizing what is happening, agrees. She feels her body automatically accept the milk, though she is confused. She thinks it's all a dream and that she's just overprocessed, and now she's seeing strange things. She realizes that she has turned into an infant and doesn't understand what is happening to her. She sees a woman who smiles at her and wishes her to grow big and healthy. The woman calls her Princess Ara. She opens her eyes and wonders why she is called Ara, realizing it is not her name. The woman takes her in her arms and carries her into another room. She feels someone walking towards her, and that person seems cold and commanding. She feels her heart start to beat faster. She sees the man and realizes she saw him on the cover of a book. She looks at his feet and realizes that this is Princess Ara's father, the Emperor of the Freeze Empire. He is a tyrant, a ruthless emperor who turns anyone who dares to oppose him into ice. She begins to panic as she realizes that she has somehow become Princess Ara. Her mind races with thoughts of what this means for her and her future. She realizes that she has found herself at the center of the story she has been reading. The tyrant and his empire is now her reality, and she must find a way to survive. She looks at the emperor with horror, realizing that her new life will be full of danger and hardship. She has become Princess Ara, and her story is just beginning. She feels her heart begin to freeze with fear. She sees him approach, his footsteps sounding menacing. Emperor Cyril is Princess Ara's birth father, but now he looks at her as if he wants to harm her. The woman holding her asks the emperor in a panic what he is going to do. He looks at them with a cold expression, and she realizes that her fate is in his hands. She is scared. She thinks that death might not be the worst outcome. The woman holding her screams and begs the emperor not to kill the child, reminding him that this is his only daughter. She suddenly realizes that this is not just a dream, but her new reality, and now she must survive at all costs. The woman continues to plead, reminding her that Princess Ara must live. She feels her heart pounding and hopes that she can escape her doom. The woman risks her life to protect her, trying to convince the emperor to do no harm. The heroine screams for the emperor not to hurt innocent people. She is scared, cries and tries to speak, but only babbles. The woman calls her a princess, and the heroine thinks she shouldn't abuse her position, even if she is royalty. The emperor looks at her and says she has a beautiful character and clearly wants to say something, but her time is up. The heroine thinks she's going to be killed and feels afraid. The maid Katie comes into the room and sees the emperor. She asks permission to clean everything in the room. The emperor tells her to put things in order and leaves, leaving the woman and the heroine behind. Katie worries about the heroine, wondering if she is crying. The heroine thinks she was scared and was already sure she was going to die. She feels the hatred coming from the emperor, but realizes that he didn't kill her. She recalls the strange feeling after finishing the book and realizes that she wasn't returned to her world. Katie greets her, and the heroine realizes that it has been 3 days since she became Princess Ara. She thinks her real name is Anna. Perhaps she died of recycling and ended up here. A woman holds the heroine on her lap and reads her a book. The heroine realizes that she now has to start a new life as Princess Ara. She reflects on the fact that if everything goes as in the book, Emperor Cyril will kill her when she turns 17. The woman says it's time to eat, and notices that the princess is smiling more often. She is happy about this, but worries that some monster might hurt the girl. The heroine is surprised to think about the fact that there were no monsters in the book. She asks herself why the woman is talking about monsters. The woman reassures her by telling her that the castle is protected by a barrier and no monster can get in. The heroine calms down, but still worries if there is someone fighting monsters. The woman asks if the heroine didn't like something. The heroine thinks about how strange and new it is to her. The woman tells her that this is the Frese Empire, ruled by Emperor Cyril. She looks at the heroine with love and concern. The heroine notices the beauty of the world around her, but realizes that when she dies, this world will end. She feels that she has knowledge from the book that will help her survive. The heroine thinks about the fact that she did not die of exhaustion and realizes that she knows how to prevent her demise. She decides to use her knowledge and memory of history to change her future and avoid a tragic fate. The heroine realizes that she is in a book and that danger awaits her. She sees a man approaching her and her heart sinks. The man looks at her with a cold stare, and she wonders what he is doing here and why he has come. She thinks he has come to kill her, and she doesn't know what to do. Her thoughts are confused, and she fears that her death will lead to the destruction of the world. The heroine tries to understand why the man wants to kill her, and comes to the conclusion that he wants to protect the world from her. She begins to cry in hopes that she can somehow save herself. Her plan is to use her cuteness to protect herself. The man takes her in his arms, and she hopes her charm will work. To her surprise, he softens and her plan actually works. The heroine realizes that her father is really scary and thinks about how the real Princess Ara must have been afraid of him. But now the heroine is in the body of a princess, and she, as a girl working without rest for 31 days, is ready to use her cuteness to melt his heart. The man looks at her and she realizes that she is helpless, can do nothing, and depends on his grace. She thinks about the fact that he might kill her and asks for someone to save her. Her fear increases as he lifts her higher, but then he gently places her back in the crib. The heroine ponders why he is looking at her like that. She sees doubt in his gaze and thinks that he definitely wants to kill her. She watches him and doesn't realize which of the two images is the real him. This emperor who is lifting her up, or the one who is looking at her with the intent to kill her. The heroine sits with a book, contemplating her life as Princess Ara. She feels she must learn more about the new world. A woman notices the heroine reading and asks how it reads. The heroine shows her the page, and the woman reads aloud, Amanchas. The heroine thanks the woman and thinks about how Amanchas is the good god of this world. People can receive blessings from him. The heroine reads further and learns that through the blessing of spirits from this god, she can gain strength and protection. The woman notices that the heroine is reading a difficult book and marvels at her skill at such a young age. The heroine explains that she found the book interesting. The woman is surprised and says that at 4 years old, the heroine is already so smart. She adds that the book leaves a powerful impression and notes that the heroine started talking and reading very early. The heroine recalls how she started talking quickly, but reading came to her even earlier. The woman is proud of her progress. The heroine thinks about the fact that reading books is a good thing. She thinks that she must gain a lot of knowledge to avoid a bad end for herself and the world. She realizes that reading is good, but rest is also important. The woman suggests a walk in the garden, and the heroine agrees. They walk down the corridor, and the woman wonders if another visitor has already arrived. She is warned that it is long overdue. The heroine and the woman see a man who is introduced as the captain of the Knights of the Empire. He greets them and prepares to speak. The heroine sees the man, the chief wizard of the empire, who blesses her with the words, "May the good god Amanchas bless you." She notices that the emperor is still looking at her with the same cold gaze, but decides she will not fear him. The heroine smiles and thanks him for his work, thinking about going to the garden now. She runs up to the emperor, excited and promising to bring beautiful flowers if she finds any. The woman reminds the emperor that it is time to get down to business. He averts his gaze and agrees. The man warns that one must not go beyond the barrier or everything will freeze. The heroine thinks it was creepy, but tries not to show her feelings. The heroine notices how the emperor's mood changes when she's around and considers it a small success. She reflects on acting like the emperor's loving daughter, hoping to make him kinder before her 17th birthday. The heroine greets the emperor, calling him daddy and thanking him for his work. She realizes that her plan is slowly working. Although he still remains strict, she notices that he is becoming softer in her presence, and this gives her hope. She realizes that rumors of his softening have already begun to spread. The heroine realizes that she needs to be careful and continue to act carefully to avoid a bad ending. She goes out into the garden, thinking that any change takes time and she needs to be persistent and careful to succeed. The heroine notices that the queue has not yet bloomed and is a little disappointed. She thinks to herself that it is too early and looks at the surrounding nature. A woman nearby confirms her thoughts. The heroine wonders if flowers come in black, and the woman replies that there are no such flowers. The woman adds that there are no black flowers at all, and the heroine is surprised by this because she sees such a flower in front of her. The heroine hears the woman shout for her to move away and turns around, feeling uneasy. She doesn't realize what has happened and tries to figure out where she is. A strange atmosphere surrounds her. The heroine realizes that she is no longer on the castle grounds and feels fear of the unknown. She sees a wolf with 3 eyes and realizes that there is a monster in front of her that she needs to escape from. The heroine tries to run away, but stumbles and falls, feeling the fear growing. The wolf approaches her, and she realizes that she cannot wait and must do something to save herself. She screams in terror as the monster opens its maw, preparing to attack her, and desperately tries to find a way to escape. The heroine falls to the ground, feeling fear and despair. She sees a man reach out his hand. The man uses ice magic to stop the wolf. He commands the spirit of ice to deal with the monster. The wolf freezes under the influence of the magic, and the man calmly says, "Deal with it." The heroine realizes that he saved her and thanks him. She begins to explain that she saw a black flower in the garden and ended up in this strange place where the wolf appeared. She is trying to understand how it all happened. The man looks at her and says that there are no black queens. The man explains that it was a monster pretending to be a flower. The heroine is surprised and concerned. She yells to her father to be careful. The man looks around and sees that there are more monsters around them. The man uses ice magic to protect them. He says that the monsters should have run away as soon as he arrived. The heroine realizes how powerful he is. She thinks about how the Emperor's power can freeze an entire world. The man explains that the monster lured her into the lair through distorted space. The heroine realizes that her father can handle any threat. The heroine feels safe around her father and realizes that he can truly protect her. She admires his strength and determination. She is grateful to him for saving her and realizes that she must be careful in the future to avoid getting into similar situations. The heroine wonders how the monster could have gotten through the castle barrier. The man hesitates and sighs, and the heroine is perplexed as to why he sighed. She remembers that she is only 4 years old and tries to figure out if that means monsters can get through the barrier. The man reaches out to the heroine and she looks at him, feeling anxious and worried. The heroine calls him father and feels fear overwhelm her. She realizes that she feels more frightened than before. The heroine realizes that the man believes that the weak die and that he has not come to save her. He believes that weak warriors, those who know little and are powerless, are victimized by others. The heroine realizes what this means for her. The man speaks the words of the spirit of ice, stating that the weak must die. The heroine realizes that he wants to get rid of the tainted blood. The heroine feels the coldness encompass her and realizes that the man truly believes in his philosophy. She realizes that her life is in danger and must find a way to deal with it. The heroine is among the ice crystals, feeling that things are very bad. A man orders the spirit of ice to get rid of the tainted blood, and the heroine realizes with horror that he is talking about her. The man tells her to disappear, and the heroine faints from fear and shock. The man lifts the heroine in his arms, figuring she still can't see what's going on around her. She wakes up in her room, surrounded by women. She tries to understand where she is and what has happened. The women explain that the Emperor has returned with her and she has slept all day. The heroine begins to realize that the chilling Emperor saved her, but is perplexed as to why she is still alive. She asks where Katie is and asks them to call her. The women reply that Katie can't come yet. The heroine is perplexed as to why Katie can't come to her and begins to worry if she's being attacked by monsters. The women explain that Katie is being blamed for failing to protect the heroine from danger, and so she can't meet her. The heroine realizes that her friend is being punished for her own protection. The heroine realizes that Katie has been imprisoned in a dungeon. She doesn't understand why this has happened, because Katie is not guilty of anything. The heroine guesses that it was her father's orders. She asks the women to call him to explain that it wasn't Katie's fault and that it was she herself who didn't move away from the black flower. The women tell the heroine that her job is to protect the princess and that they are all willing to sacrifice themselves for her safety. They are not surprised that they punished Katie because it is their duty to protect the heroine from any threat. The heroine realizes that they are always by her side, ready for anything. But despite this, she still disagrees with the decision to punish Katie. The woman suggests that the heroine talk to her father to explain what happened. She agrees and thanks the woman for her support. The woman says she'll pass on her words, but the heroine still hasn't met with the emperor even after sundown. She wonders what he is doing. The woman explains that the emperor saved her by returning home, and is surprised that the heroine thought her father wanted to kill her. The heroine ponders why her father is so cruel to other people, thinking it causes her more suffering. She comes to the conclusion that he really thinks it's for the best, calling him a cruel sadist. The woman informs the heroine that not only Mistress Katie has been imprisoned in the dungeon, but also the knights guarding the garden and the wizards in charge of the barrier. They are sure they will be released in a month, but the heroine apologizes for not being able to help. The heroine comforts the woman, telling her that everything is fine, and thanks her. She reflects that no one is to blame for what happened. The heroine thinks about how her father is punishing everyone because they can't resist him. She asks the woman to leave her alone, and the woman agrees, although she thinks it is not a good idea. Left alone, the heroine decides to go to her father herself. Even though he is busy, she is determined to find out the truth. The heroine heads for the door, determined to find her father on her own. She encounters 2 guards, but decides it's a bad idea to try to go through them. The heroine ponders that if she had magic, she could find a better place. She summons a spirit to get help and go to her father. The heroine tries to use magic, but nothing works. However, suddenly something happens, and she is surprised that she succeeds. She realizes that this is her chance and decides to act quickly. The heroine finds herself in an unknown place and screams in surprise as she realizes that the magic worked faster than she expected. She summons the wind spirit to realize where she is. She suddenly begins to fall and her consciousness becomes clouded. A man notices her and helps her, asking if she's okay. The heroine also inquires about his condition. The man who saved her apologizes, saying it was the first time he had lifted anything heavier than a cat. The heroine thanks him for saving her despite his difficulties. The man, looking at the heroine, thinks how beautiful she is. He notes her silver hair and suggests that she might be an heiress, since only His Majesty and heirs have hair like that. The man continues to think about her beauty and notices her blonde hair. He suggests that she may be special, as only the heirs of the castle have such hair. The heroine and her new acquaintance, Faye, run away, hiding from someone. Faye reassures her, telling her that they have not been spotted. The heroine, relaxing a bit, asks his name. Faye gives his name and tells her that his grandfather is the chief wizard of the empire, Lebenskraut. He adds that he is only 5 years old. The heroine ponders who Faye Sprout is and how he was able to become so talented at such a young age. She realizes that he is the heir to an aristocratic family, and now she understands why he is so good at magic. Faye explains that he trains in magic because on moonlit nights, magical power is amplified. He confesses that he went out sneaking around to practice when no one is around. The heroine, surprised by his abilities, asks if he knows how to become invisible. Faye is confused, wondering how she knows this, and becomes nervous. The heroine ponders that she only saw him invisible when she used her power to notice him. She thinks that maybe they can hold hands to become invisible together. Faye, hearing her plan, agrees and offers to hold hands. Suddenly, he exclaims that they should hide when they see someone ahead. The heroine asks for Faye's help, saying she wants to meet her dad. Suddenly, they are interrupted by someone. Faye, noticing someone ahead, asks what they are doing here. Suddenly, a man with a sword appears out of the shadows and prepares to attack. A new hero appears with a sword and asks Faye who he is and why Princess Dea is with him. The heroine asks the sword to be put away and explains that Faye is the grandson of the head wizard. Faye responds by asking the new hero who he is and why he walks around at night. The hero introduces himself as Ivan Rogue, son of the captain of the 3rd unit of the Imperial Night Guard. The heroine ponders the fact that he is the son of a captain of knights, but that doesn't mean he himself is also a knight. She is a little suspicious of Ivan for walking around the castle at such a late hour. Ivan explains that he brought his father's things to the dormitory and stayed the night there, then went out for a walk because he couldn't sleep. Despite this, he admits that going out at night is wrong and adds that he shouldn't be judged. The heroine explains that Faye wanted to practice magic in secret. She confirms that Ivan lives in the magician's dormitory, but Faye suddenly says that's not true. Faye claims that Ivan is lying because there is a completely different road leading from the dormitory to the training site. He asks Ivan if he is really from the guard. The heroine apologizes for the misunderstanding, admitting that she believed Ivan, but now her doubts have been reinforced by Faye's words. The chief wizard explains that he is worried about the girl in the dungeon and wanted to check on her. The hero realizes that the head wizard has also been imprisoned and apologizes, believing it is his fault since he was kidnapped. The heroine, turning to Faye, asks him not to blame himself, claiming that the barrier turned out to be holy. However, this leads to an argument between Faye and Ivan, who threatens to reveal their whereabouts. The heroine turns to Faye and offers to go to Papa together to convince him to free all the prisoners. Faye agrees and asks to be taken along, vowing to make them invisible. Ivan also asks to take him along. They plan to speak quietly so no one will hear or notice them. The heroine hopes that the magic will work correctly. The heroes gather and start moving, holding hands and relying on magic to go unnoticed. The heroine tells the boys that if they are afraid they can just leave, but Faye replies that he is more afraid of leaving her alone with the princess. An argument ensues between them. Ivan asks where His Majesty is. The heroine suggests that he is probably working in his study. She reasons that he is constantly busy and is probably working. The heroine suggests going to his bedroom if they don't find him in his study. Ivan clarifies if they know where the study is. Moving quietly through the castle, the heroes try not to attract attention. The heroine feels a little creepy, but is glad she is not alone. She hopes that the monsters won't penetrate the barrier this night. Faye explains that it's so quiet now because the wizards are idle. The heroine is surprised that it is possible to get through the barrier. She asks Faye to tell her more about it. He explains that only knights and wizards know about it, but that some high-level monsters can pass through the barrier unnoticed. Faye continues the explanation. He tells that it is very difficult to create a barrier that protects against all monsters. Wizards make efforts to maintain it every day. However, the monsters are also constantly looking for new ways to penetrate it, and this endless race continues. The heroine listens carefully to Faye's explanation. She realizes that maintaining the barrier requires a tremendous amount of effort and that even wizards find it difficult to cope with the constant attacks of the monsters. Ivan and the heroine keep moving as they discuss the information they have just learned. Ivan remarks that knowing about the barrier's weaknesses makes them vulnerable to monsters. Faye agrees and adds that they should be very careful. The heroine reflects on how difficult and dangerous it is to keep the castle safe, but is confident that together they can overcome any difficulties. The heroes continue on their journey, holding each other's hands and hoping that their plan will work. Their hearts are filled with determination and faith that they can find His Majesty and convince him to help all the prisoners of the castle. The hero is sitting at his desk, minding his own business. Suddenly, he is asked what he is doing so late. To this, he replies that he has come to talk. He sees 3 children and asks who is with her. One of the boys tries to say something, but another child interrupts him without letting him finish. A man addresses the boys by their names, Ivan Rawl and Faye Scroud. He says that since he knows them, he might not be confused. He then asks the girl what she wanted to talk about, distracting him from his work. The heroine informs him that Katie and the others are in the dungeon after her assassination attempt. She says she wants him to let them out because they are not guilty of anything. The man looks at her sternly and says that these people failed to protect the population from danger. The man disagrees and says that they were the ones who tipped her off. The heroine looks at him, surprised and in disbelief. She does not understand why he is accusing them of something that is not their fault. The heroine exclaims that no, they are not. She explains that she met them by chance and they helped her. The man replies that that's how it is, but points out that walking around at night with an heiress is an inexcusable act. He adds that he will send them to the dungeon. The heroine screams fearfully for him not to do that. The man says that she doesn't yet understand what it means to be an heiress. The man warns her to remember well what careless behavior can lead to. He adds that her whole family could go to jail for such a crime. The girl begins to realize that she needs to avoid not only dangerous situations, but also the guards guarding her room. The heroine yells in anger for him to wait. She says that if she has done wrong, let him punish her rather than everyone else. The man replies that punishing everyone is more effective than punishing just her alone. The man asks why she is protecting them. The heroine replies that if she was wrong, then only she should be punished. The child next to her excitedly calls her name, but she continues, thinking to herself that she'd rather be killed right there. The man asks in bewilderment if that's really true. He reminds her that he thinks they are incompetent because they failed to protect her. The heroine, with rage and resentment, says that he himself doesn't protect her, but instead attacks and intimidates her. She mentally notes that only she, his daughter, can talk to him like that. It's a little scary, but since she started it, she's going to say everything. She screams that she hates him and clenches her fists. The heroine exclaims in rage that she hates him. The man, stunned by her words, holds a quill in his hand, which begins to drip ink. The heroine, overwhelmed with emotion, screams that she hates him. The boys standing nearby observe her behavior with alarm. The man, hearing this, remains motionless, as if stunned by her words. One of the boys thinks to himself that the man is clearly in shock. The heroine continues, expressing her indignation, and mentally wishes that everything would freeze. The boys, concerned about the heroine's condition, ask her to apologize. She, on the other hand, says that she has endured for a long time, but she can't take it anymore. She reproaches the man for his anger, which is directed at everyone around him, and repeats that she hates him. The man, sensing her despair, wonders if she really wants to kill him, and suggests that she focus on him. The heroine, looking at him, thinks that those around her will be saved if he disappears. The heroine continues to wonder if he too thinks she wants to kill him. The man, seeing her state of mind, tries to understand what she means and asks if she really thinks so. She confirms that she thinks so because he attacked her. She recalls the moment when he injured her and questions why he is still alive if she really wants to kill him. The man explains that if she really wanted to kill him, he would be dead by now. The heroine ponders why he continues to torment her and feels fear of his actions. The man, seeing her confusion, decides to calm down. He agrees with her words and says that he understands her feelings. The heroine, hearing his reply, feels some relief, but is still wary. The two boys stand in front of the door, and one of them hears the man say that he is aware of their presence. He says their names, Oliver Rawl and Misha Scroud, and demands that they come out. The boys, surprised and frightened, look around and hesitantly step forward. One of them apologizes for his rudeness and apologizes to the great emperor, begging him to spare them. The heroine, upon seeing her parents, feels confusion. She thinks about the fact that her parents have been following them. The woman explains that they decided not to stop the children, respecting Princess Daya's will. The man, unhappy that the children are interfering with his work, orders them to stop talking. He is displeased that the children thought he wouldn't notice anything, and says he will discuss it with them in the dormitory. The woman turns to a boy named Fei and says they'll have a serious conversation too. He agrees, slightly concerned. The heroine, embarrassed by the situation, apologizes to the woman and the man, explaining that she was the one who asked the boys to come with her. She apologizes and apologizes for the fact that they might be punished because of her. She goes on to explain that if any of the boys were thrown into the dungeon because of her, she would not be able to bear it. The woman addresses her by name to get her attention. The heroine looks concerned and frightened, realizing that her actions could have had serious consequences. The woman explains to the heroine that His Majesty doesn't know how to express his feelings, but he holds her very dear. The heroine is surprised to hear this and asks if he really treasures her. The woman confirms this and adds that if he didn't, he would have frozen her as soon as she entered the study. The woman says it's getting late and offers to walk the heroine to her room. The heroine agrees and asks her to walk her. On the way, they pass guards who bow respectfully. The heroine lies down in her bed, reflecting on the past day. She tries to sleep, but can't. To calm herself, she picks up a book and starts reading. The heroine reads about Syria Freeze, the first prince of the kingdom of Freeze. She learns that when Prince Syria was 10 years old, assassins from the neighboring kingdom of Avalori killed the royal couple of Freeze. Prince Syria then took command of an army, attacked the kingdom of Avalori, and won a brilliant victory. He grew up and became emperor, uniting the kingdom of Freeze with the empire. 5 years later, the kingdom of Murda, a former ally of the Avalori kingdom, declared war on the empire. However, a knight in white armor, the commanding prince of Syria, repelled the attack. Murtha also became part of the empire. Many people resented this political influence of the Prince of Syria, but he froze all the dissenters. Everyone has long known that Emperor Syria is a cruel and ruthless ruler. The heroine continues reading, realizing that Emperor Syria can be very harsh indeed. She reflects on the fact that his methods of ruling led to the unification of the empire, but also brought much suffering. The heroine ponders, wondering if she really thought he wanted to kill her, and realizes that he really does care for her. These thoughts begin to bother her, and she continues to think about his actions. She reads on and thinks about why the emperor destroyed the world at the end of the original story. A question pops into her mind. Did he really plan this after all the killing? She wonders what if she changed the course of events and thinks that maybe she can prevent him from destroying the world. The heroine stands up and looks around her room. Her thoughts are occupied with the question, if Syria really isn't as bad as the story said, why isn't he killing her? She wonders why he is attacking her then. Her musings are interrupted when she hears someone calling her name. The heroine turns around and sees her maid, who informs her that she has been released from the dungeon. The heroine asks in surprise if she has indeed been released from the dungeon. The maid confirms this, adding that all those who were imprisoned in the dungeon by mistake were released this morning by order of His Majesty. The heroine remembers her request and thanks the maid for the news. She rejoices that everything has been resolved and now they are together again. The heroine ponders how she can thank her father for this. The maid, seeing the joy on the heroine's face, is relieved. However, she also apologizes to the princess for failing to protect her. The heroine, smiling, says that now they are together again, and that this is the most important thing. The maid sincerely apologizes to Princess Dea, feeling guilty for what happened. The heroine, seeing her sincere feelings, forgives her and says that everything will be okay now. She hopes that their future will be peaceful and happy. The heroine, seeing that the maid has fallen, anxiously asks what has happened. The maid replies that everything is fine. The heroine reassures her, telling her that if it is a black flower, there is no need to worry, as it is not her fault. The maid apologizes for being imprisoned because of the heroine, and promises to be more careful in the future. The heroine says that she is very kind and reminds her of Lady Leia. The heroine calls the maid Mama and admits that she has a request. She hesitantly adds that she would like to relieve her of the duty of taking care of her. The heroine, expressing her thoughts, asks the maid not to take care of her anymore, relieving her of this responsibility. The maid, touched by her words, feels grateful and relieved, but also a little sad to realize that the heroine is trying to be independent. The heroine asks the maid to relieve her of her duty of care. The maid looks at her sadly, and the heroine apologizes, saying that she is sorry. The heroine clarifies that she doesn't want the maid to fear punishment because of her. The maid explains that that's not the case. She says that she's worried because she doesn't think she can adequately protect the heroine. It is hard for her to admit, but she feels unable to fulfill her duties, which causes her great regret. The heroine, upon reflection, realizes how kind the maid is. She recalls that Maid Katri is from a family of merchants and used to be a common worker in the castle, until the heroine's mother, Princess Lala, made her her maid. The heroine recalls how the maid married an aristocrat and left the castle, but after a year her husband passed away and she returned. The heroine's mother supported her during this difficult period, and Katri became a maid again. Soon Katri married again and left the castle, but after a while she returned. After the birth of her child, Katri again faced difficulties, but Princess Lala surrounded her with care and support. The heroine realizes that her life after rebirth was so peaceful precisely because of Katri's care. She remembers how Katri gently held her in her arms, surrounding her with love and attention. The heroine recalls how Katri's care and support gave her the strength and courage to not be afraid of the Emperor. She asks Katri not to leave, saying that she wants to continue to be with her. The heroine explains that if it is hard for Katri to be with her, she can leave because the most important thing is that Katri smiles and is happy. Katie, seeing the heroine's sincerity, admits that she doesn't really want to leave her. Katri says that she is afraid of being in a situation where she can't protect the heroine again. The heroine, confident in her abilities, promises that she will get stronger and learn to behave more carefully. She asks Katri to stay with her and work together to become stronger. The heroine believes they can protect each other and be together forever. Katri hugs the heroine and promises to serve her until her last breath. This decision gives Katri confidence and strength. In another moment, the maid decides to become stronger and mentally prepares herself for what lies ahead. She realizes that their path will not be easy, but she is confident that she can cope. The heroine comes to the man and, a little embarrassed, thanks him for freeing Katri and the others. The man listens to her words with interest. The man asks the heroine if she now understands why he doesn't kill her. The heroine replies that she has realized, and somewhat embarrassedly suggests that it is because he cares for her. The man continues to look at her thoughtfully. The man tells the heroine that she is in the way and tells her to leave. The heroine, indignant and a little upset, still decides to ask him for something else. The man, hearing her request, is surprised. The heroine asks the man for permission to learn magic. He replies that it is too early for her and that she is not a magician. The man explains that she has other duties, as she is an heiress and a princess, and magicians have their own jobs. The heroine realizes that she expected a rejection, but she still feels sorry that she wasn't allowed to learn magic. The man, softening a bit, offers another option. He agrees to her request, but with some conditions. The man suggests that the heroine make friends. He explains that friends can tell her many interesting things. Heroine happily agrees, thanking him for his understanding. The man adds that he will prepare a room for her to play and socialize with her friends. The heroine is pleased that her request has been approved, though she is not entirely happy with the way the man has expressed his agreement. She is still grateful to him for allowing her to make friends and learn new things. The heroine is glad that her request has been honored, but feels that things are not at all as she imagined. Her new friends are little girls with whom she plays with dolls and soft toys. The heroine welcomes the girls, and they reciprocate. The heroine thinks that playing with the younger girls is not at all what she expected. She remembers how Faye and Ivan behaved in a more adult way, and realizes that she had been forgetting that. Later, the heroine sits in front of a man and says that she didn't really enjoy playing with her new friends. She explains that she would like to play with Faye and Ivan. The man is surprised by her request and asks her why she likes these two so much. The heroine notices that the expression on the man's face has changed, and it scares her a little. The man flatly refuses to let her play with Faye and Ivan. The heroine disappointedly thinks it's because of her status as an heiress and realizes that in the original story, that would have been the end of it. She repeats her question, hoping to change his mind, but the man again says, "You can't." The heroine persistently clarifies if it is in fact impossible, and the man once again confirms the refusal. The heroine feels disappointed, as it was easy for her to communicate with Faye and Ivan. She doesn't understand why she is forbidden to spend time with them and feels sad about it. A man asks the heroine if she really wants him to throw her out. The heroine stubbornly decides that if she does, she will do whatever it takes to get her way. She approaches the man and asks him again, using all her strength. The heroine, showing her persistence and determination, pleads with the man, insisting on her wish. He gives in and allows her to play a little with Faye and Ivan. The maid is surprised that the strict emperor allowed the heroine to be friends with boys. The heroine, happy to be able to meet them, expresses her joy. The heroine recalls how surprised she was when she learned that the emperor had let everyone out at her request. She feels grateful and hopes that she will be able to befriend the boys. The long-awaited day comes when the heroine can meet Faye and Ivan. The guards stand at the door, waiting for her arrival. The heroine is nervous about meeting the boys, thinking about how they will react. She sees them and is relieved when the emperor says they can play. The man brings Faye and Ivan to the heroine as she requested. He allows them to play together, which makes the heroine feel happy and relieved. She rejoices that her wish has come true, and now she can spend time with her friends. A man says that his daughter wants to play with the boys and orders them to start playing. The heroines look at the man with bewilderment and concern, not understanding how they can play in such an environment. The heroine blames herself for the situation. The heroine asks the man to do his work, but he, watching them with interest, says he is curious about how they will play. The heroes feel uncomfortable under his gaze. The man says he can't leave because this is his home. The heroine boldly replies that his presence frightens Faye and Ivan. The man suspects that the heroes are about to play something he is not allowed to see. The heroine assures him that his sight frightens the boys, not their games. The maid, apologizing for interfering, asks the man to let the children play quietly. The heroine sees this as a chance. She reminds the man of his business and asks him to go attend to it. The man leaves, instructing the maid to watch the children. The heroine rejoices. The heroine apologizes for scaring the heroine and says that her father is in a bad mood today. The heroine is relieved that it is over. The maid pours tea and wonders how the princess tried to play them with her. The heroines agree that it was unexpected, and they find it easy to relate to the heroine. They say they would like to teach her everything they know. The heroine notices that the boys were smarter than their years and didn't mesh with their peers. They continue the conversation and discuss that they have younger siblings, but they are different from other children. The heroine is curious about mages and knights, and the hero explains that he can tell her about mages but not about knights, since he is not a member of the Order of Knights. The heroine is surprised, and the hero replies that all the men in his family are in the Order of Knights. The hero tells her that wizards deal with monster problems, protect the castle, and travel the empire. The heroine continues to question, wondering about their duties. The hero explains that knights deal with human problems, catch criminals, and guard the borders. The heroine wonders if the knights have magic. The heroine says that she has heard that mages used to have magic, but most of them don't. The heroine also mentions that her father was one of those who did possess magic, but he was locked away in a special spell. She thinks that mages can fight knights, but the hero thinks that wizards are stronger. The hero declares that he will become a knight and prove it, though the other hero doubts his words. The heroes and the heroine continue to discuss who is stronger, wizards or knights, and propose to have a competition. The heroine supports the idea and smiles. The heroes explain that the princess would like to learn about knights and mages to better understand their abilities. They plan to continue this conversation another time. The heroine enjoys their company and thanks them for their explanation. She suggests that they read books about knights and mages later. The heroes agree with the heroine's suggestion and decide to spend more time together to learn more about each other and their abilities. They go to the garden and decide to spend time there. The heroine notices that they have 2 guards with them today, so they will not be afraid of danger. The heroes and heroine discuss plans for the day and decide to go to the garden. The heroine enjoys the company and talking with them. They discuss how nice it is to be together and share knowledge. The heroine admits that she enjoys spending time with both heroes. The heroine notices something suspicious and the guards react to it. One of the guards prepares to protect the heroine and her friends. The heroes find themselves in a dark place, looking around fearfully. A mysterious hooded man appears in front of them, thirsting for their blood. The heroine thinks he wants her blood. The man approaches threateningly, saying they are in his way. At this point, the guards rush forward, protecting the heroes and trying to stop the man. The heroes see the black flower and begin to panic, not realizing what is happening. One of the heroes asks if the heroine is okay. The heroine and her friends begin to realize that they have been transported to an old temple. One of the heroes notices that they have been teleported by a crude formula, which makes him feel nauseous. The heroes decide to pack up and prepare for the coming danger, as the man is already approaching. The heroine thinks about sticking together. The man comes closer and closer, calling the heroine the daughter of the Ice Emperor, and smiles ominously. The heroine and her friends prepare to confront him. The hooded man continued his threats, saying he was the son of the first emperor. He reminded the heroes that they must give their blood. The heroine and her friends tried to protect each other, but they were overwhelmed by the darkness. One of the heroes used his powers to break the dark chains binding them. He told the others to flee while he himself held off the enemy. The heroine worried for her friend, not knowing what to do next. The heroes realized that they were in great danger. The hooded man launched an attack, and the heroine felt terrified and helpless. She desperately called out for her father's help. The heroine remembered how her father had helped her earlier. She decided to try to ask for help again despite her fear. The hooded man approached, threatening them more and more. The heroine's father forbade her to leave the castle. The heroine cheerfully admitted that she was happy to see him. She called him a wizard and a knight, and then another hero appeared, holding one of his friends in his arms. The heroine's father realized that her friends were from Lazarian's setup. The hooded man scoffed, saying that a lot of wizards and knights wouldn't be able to do anything. The heroine's father ordered everyone to stop and protect her. Another hero stepped in, trying to help. The heroine's father asked him not to interfere, saying he could handle it himself. He used his powers to protect the heroine and ordered everyone else to stand down. The hooded man continued to threaten, saying he would carry out his plan. The heroine's father replied that he was not afraid of him and used magic to disarm the enemy. The heroine watched the battle, feeling helpless. The heroine's father confidently said that he would deal with the enemy and protect her at all costs. The heroine's father ordered his subordinates to arrest the hooded man and strip him of all his rights. They immediately carried out his order. The heroine, relieved that it was over, ran to her father, hugging him with relief and saying that she was scared. Her father asked her not to cry, and she felt the warmth of his arms. One of the heroine's friends said they all fought together to protect her. Other friends stood by her side, confirming that they too had made an effort to help. The heroine realized that everyone was really trying for her, and that gave her confidence. She decided that in the future she too could use her magical powers to protect others. The woman approached the heroine, happy that she was okay, and thanked her father. The heroine turned to her father, asking what the hooded man meant by her blood. Her father explained that her blood was indeed special, as she was from a royal family. He added that people knew that before, but it was especially important now because of the events that had happened. The heroine remembered being told in the past that her blood could protect her from monsters, which made her feel useful and important. The woman crouched down next to the heroine and said that she had not seen such a monster, and the heroine remarked that it could be the result of the emperor's manipulation. She realized that the emperor could create monsters using humans, and it made her uneasy. She reflected on the kindness this man had once shown. Her father looked at the man imprisoned in chains while in the dungeon, wondering what to do to someone who wanted to harm his daughter. The heroine's father pondered what to do with the villain who wanted to harm his daughter. He realized that this man had kidnapped the princess with the help of the black flower, but his soul had already been consumed by the monster. The prisoner bound in chains grinned evilly as he saw the heroine's father in front of him. The father said that this man was captured because of his crimes and asked who exactly made him do it. The prisoner remained stubbornly silent. The heroine's father ordered the guards to stand back, assuming that the kidnapper had used some sort of trick to get into the castle, but realized that it was clearly not his idea. He insisted that the man answer who had directed him. The prisoner chuckled, naming his master. Father realized it was the name of the most powerful mage. He remembered what he knew about the magical power of this enemy and realized that sooner or later he would attack them. He ordered King Lysander to be summoned to discuss the way forward. The heroine's father asked King Lysander if he was surprised by the sudden invitation. The king replied that it did not embarrass him and apologized for the surprise. The heroine's father realized that King Lysander was much older and had ruled longer, but he looked imposing. He reminded him that the kingdom of Lysander was an independent state. King Lysander asked why he had been summoned. The heroine's father explained that the right man had infiltrated the castle and was involved in the attack on his daughter. He noticed that a mage from Lysander had tried to harm his daughter, which could be seen as a declaration of war. King Lysander expressed his displeasure and emphasized that their country was already suffering from monsters. He demanded proof of these accusations. The heroine's father explained that magical power had been causing calamities in their country for a long time. He concluded that someone from Lysander had used powerful magic. King Lysander, deep in thought, agreed that someone of his mages was involved. He questioned how the heroine's father knew about it. The heroine's father calmly replied that their countries had always had close ties. The guards informed him that it was time for torture. The heroine had to start, as the city was under siege and Lysander wasn't helping. The guards learned something interesting. The chronicles record that the god of war and King Lysander are friends. The heroine's father thought that whoever attacked the castle was familiar with the king. The guards decided that they too needed to become stronger. One of them asked the other about his son. The one replied that his son wanted to become a knight and offered to bring him to the castle for training. The woman reminded the heroine that it was her bedtime. The heroine agreed and said good night. 2 weeks had passed since Anya and Lee returned to the castle. The castle had become peaceful. The heroine lay in bed and wondered what her friends were doing now. She thought that both of them, being the sons of aristocrats, must be busy doing things, but what if they were upset? She assumed Obai must be at the maid school and wondered if she could meet him. The heroine walked over to the window and thought about how she wanted to meet her friends, even if it was the second time in a bright day. She wondered how she could meet them. The hero noticed the heroine and asked what she was doing. She flinched and turned to him. He repeated the question, and the heroine explained that she was just thinking about her friends. He asked why she was fresh and alert again, and said she shouldn't get up so often. The heroine said that she didn't mean to run away, but was just thinking about how Obai and Ivan were doing. She noticed that they looked upset. The hero asked what they had said to her, and the heroine said nothing. The hero picked the heroine up in his arms and told her that she should go to sleep. She cried out in surprise, but he insisted. He wished her good night and told her she would meet her friends tomorrow. The hero told the heroine to sleep, saying that she would meet her friends tomorrow. He added that otherwise she would run out of the room again in the night. The heroine thanked him, and he stroked her head affectionately. The heroine lay in bed and tried to sleep, but she found it difficult. She kept thinking about her friends and hoped to meet them. The next day, the hero brought the heroine to the knight's training place. The heroine asked where they were, and the hero explained that it was a training place for knights. She noticed that her friends were training here and was surprised. The man said that Ivan is training, but has not become a knight yet. He is training under Kevin's supervision. Hero approached the man and heroine and said they were here to see the training. The man expressed surprise that they were here without guards. The heroine greeted Ivan cheerfully and said she hadn't seen him in a while. She apologized for making him wait to meet her. Ivan said it was no big deal. He explained that he was training to protect her and Obai in case of danger. The heroine said she had a secret. Ivan listened with interest as she shared her plan. The heroine wanted to know if he would become a knight. A man intervened and said that the heroine should be more careful. Ivan tried to justify himself by saying that he wanted to protect her. The man told the hero that Ivan had asked for training just as Kevin had. The hero reminded Ivan that he wanted to keep practicing. The hero also told Ivan to come to the heroine's house sometimes, and the hero agreed. The heroine suggested that they play together again. The hero led her to another place, and she asked what that place was. The hero explained that it was a wizard's laboratory. He approached the heroine and told her what she should have said if she wanted to see him. He apologized for refusing to see her and explained that he had decided to study magic harder to become the best wizard in the empire. The heroine said she wanted to protect the country and them. Obai noticed that she was trying. The man approached him and said he thought he could surpass him and become the best wizard in the empire. The man asked Obai to make time for the heroine at least once a week. Obai promised not to refuse any more meetings. The heroine offered to continue being friends. Obai thanked her. The heroine thought Ivan and Obai were very cool. She also thanked her father for the opportunity to meet them. She told him that she thanked Ivan and Obai and asked them to play with her again. The heroine admitted that her father sometimes seems scary, unemotional, and cold, but he still loves her. He asked if she thought he was awkward. She replied that she did, but with a smile. The heroine's father assured her that he wasn't against her desire to become a mage. He remarked that sometimes it didn't seem like it. The heroine thanked him and again expressed her desire to meet Ivan and Obai. The heroine reflected that her father seems formidable but is actually kind. Her father motioned for her to go ahead and held her hand. The heroine remembered that she didn't find she was thanked enough. She suggested going to the movies. Then she thought she wanted to erase all the bad memories. She woke up in the morning and greeted the woman. The woman asked if she was awake already. The heroine confirmed and added that she thought she should get up early. The woman suggested that the heroine go out to breakfast. She agreed to do so. The heroine then asked how she was living. The woman laughed and said how the bar was. The heroine laughed back. The heroine remembered that today was her birthday. She thanked the woman for congratulating her. The woman wished her a healthy growth and success in her studies. The heroine reflected on the fact that in her past life she was a famous person. She knew that the emperor had always been on her side and protected her, so she thought that her life was now connected to the emperor and his entourage. At the event, the heroine received birthday greetings. She was thanked for growing up to be such a beautiful girl. The hero told her that the dress suited her. She thanked him and praised his clothes. The heroine continued to accept congratulations and enjoy the celebration. The heroine thanked her friends. One of them, Ivan, wished her a happy birthday and she recognized him. Another friend, Faye, also congratulated her and recognized that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. The heroine noted that her friends had become popular and were now admired by others. Her friends Ivan and Faye had received their titles and had become famous, Ivan as the youngest knight and Faye as a brilliant wizard. The heroine's father said he needed to go away for a while and asked Faye and Ivan to take care of her. They agreed and promised to watch over her in his absence. The heroine thanked them and was glad of their company. The heroine noticed that Ivan and Faye were always arguing with each other and asked them not to quarrel. She was glad that her friends were always there for her and ready to support her. They all continued celebrating together, having fun and socializing with each other. The heroine felt happy surrounded by her friends and family. The heroine said she was ecstatic. She then greeted Lady Marian. Lady Marian said hello to Ivan and Faye, wishing them a good day, and approached the heroine, asking permission to be friends. The heroine thanked Marian and noted that she was honored. Marian, however, wondered if having two boys around the heroine would lead to rumors of her frivolity. She began to worry that it might damage the heroine's reputation. The heroine felt embarrassed and looked back at her friends, Ivan and Faye, who were standing next to her. Marian said doubtfully that the heroine was too promiscuous if she was surrounded by boys all the time. The heroine was surprised and didn't understand why Marian thought that. Ivan and Faye looked puzzled. Marian wondered if there was something wrong with the heroine and expressed her concerns. She was sure that rumors about it would spread quickly. The heroine tried to explain that she had been friends with Ivan and Faye since childhood and they had a good relationship. Marian, still hesitant, remarked that if the heroine was spending so much time with boys, it might look vicious. The heroine tried to assure her that it wasn't, but Marian stuck to her opinion. Marian continued to say that the heroine was as unafraid as anyone to be so intimate with boys. Faye intervened, telling Marian to watch what she said. Marian aghast at his rudeness. Ivan supported Faye, adding to be nicer to the lady. Faye calmly replied that he was already kind enough. Ivan countered that Marian had been rude to the heroine and that Faye seemed to stand up for her. The woman tells the man that Mr. Ivan is interested in her. She explains that she wanted to warn him of the impending danger. The man looks unsure and embarrassed. The woman in the white dress realizes that she likes him. They continue to talk. The woman in the white dress notices that the woman and the man are staying close to each other, which causes her doubt and concern. She thinks about what could happen and imagines the woman instantly freezing. The woman turns to a man named Ivan, questioning why he would not stay with another woman, Marina. The man and woman stand side by side, and another man looks at them. The woman is surprised at what is happening. She laughs, trying to calm everyone down, saying that she is fine. She asks the man not to worry. The man walks away with Marina, leaving the rest of the heroines to watch them. The heroine wonders who the girl is. The heroine replies that it would be better if His Majesty knew. She imagines the emperor freezing the child at a feast in honor of his daughter, and remarks that it would make a great impression on him. The man notices that the heroine has even thought about it and expresses admiration for her adult thoughts. She laughs, a little embarrassed. The heroine observes Marina, who seems calm and not worried about what is happening. A man invites the heroine to dance, but she hesitantly says that she is not a good dancer. He assures her that she needs to rely on him. The hero summons the spirit of the wind, and they begin to dance, surrounded by a magical aura. The hero uses wind magic to help the heroine dance. She is surprised and delighted to feel the wind picking her up. The man explains that with wind magic, many things are possible. The heroine looks at him with delight. They continue to dance and others watch them, marveling. One of the spectators notices that the heroine and the hero are a perfect match. At this time, Ivan is dancing with Marina, and someone calls his name. The heroine, hearing the voice, realizes that last year she was near the man. She wonders if this is possibly because of Marina. The heroine apologizes to the hero, explaining that she would like to apologize for her rudeness. The man, smiling, says that it was no big deal and asks if anything happened. Marion, smiling happily, introduces herself and says that they have just met. The heroine is perplexed, knowing that Marion has met them before. The woman holds out a gift to the heroine, explaining that she would like to present it immediately. The heroine thanks and takes the box. The woman says that she has written a letter, but is embarrassed if anyone sees it, so she asks the heroine to read it in private. After saying goodbye, the woman leaves. The hero asks the heroine if something happened at the feast. The heroine replies that everything is fine and apologizes for wanting to go to her room. The man realizes that the situation was tense, but senses that the woman is clearly up to something. The heroine goes to her room with the gift in hand, pondering the woman's strange behavior. The woman, however, when left alone, smirks, harboring something unkind. The maid tells the heroine that it is late and offers to give her a bath in the morning. The heroine agrees. She decides to open the present at once, despite her tiredness. The heroine unties the ribbon on the box and begins to open it. Inside she finds a letter and reads it curiously. Suddenly, a moth flies out of the box, which frightens the heroine and the maid. The heroine and the other men notice that something has happened. The heroine, who grabs the moth, explains that a bug flew out of the box, but then apologizes, saying that it was just a moth and she was scared. The man helps catch the moth and asks if everything is okay now. The heroine thanks him, assuring him that everything is fine. The maid expresses surprise that Marina did not immediately freeze. The heroine ponders why she did not tell His Majesty, realizing that if he had found out, Marina might have frozen. The maid suggests that it was a childish joke, and the heroine agrees, deciding not to make a fuss about it. The maid agrees not to tell anyone what happened and leaves. The heroine, lying in bed, reflects on the fact that Marina is still a child and does not realize the consequences of her actions. She thinks that if there had been more insects in the box, she would have been even more frightened. The next morning, the heroine talks to her mentor, who assumes that the heroine is tired after last night's ball. The mentor offers to cancel classes for the day so that the heroine can rest. The heroine thanks the tutor and agrees to meet tomorrow. The maid hands her a letter from Lady Marina, arousing the heroine's curiosity. The heroine opens the letter and reads it. In the letter, Marina apologizes for what happened and promises to be more careful in the future. The heroine is surprised that Marina responded so quickly and looks at the letter thoughtfully. From this point on, letters from Marina begin to arrive frequently, each filled with apologies and promises to behave better. The heroine notices that Marina is really trying to improve herself. The heroine thinks that the moth really could have just been a joke. She hopes that she can become friends with Marina. She notices that there is an inscription on the box. Opening it, the heroine sees a letter. In it, Marina apologizes and promises not to repeat her mistakes. The heroine leaves the room and meets a maid who helps her with her daily chores. Suddenly, the heroine notices that her hand is cut. She realizes that she can't take it anymore and decides to deal with the situation. The heroine tells the man about her suspicions and the fact that Marina keeps sending her gifts and letters. The man wonders if Marina has really changed. The heroine receives another letter that causes her anxiety. She decides that she needs to do something about it. The next day, the heroine meets Marina. They greet each other and Marina apologizes for her behavior. The heroine thanks Marina for the gift and says that she has been waiting for this meeting. The heroine thinks Marina is so happy to see them. She hopes that they can mend their relationship and become friends. However, tension builds up inside the heroine, and she realizes that Marina may still harbor something evil.